Our guest tonight, you can see the Merwan's name there, is Merwan Mehta. He comes from one of the largest extended families devoted to Baba. They go all the way back to the 1920s. I'll ask him about that. But in the original family, there were 5 brothers and 4 daughters. And we all, one of them was Eruch's mother, Gaimai. Many of us met her at Merazad and in Pune. And Banu Masi, that was Sam and Jal Karawal, I mean Sam and Dottie Karawala's mother, and they lived at Mehrabad. We a lot of us saw them over the years, and and I don't quite know. I'll find out from Merwan what his I mean I don't know if it was Homai was your grandfather or Shireen was your grandmother. I'll ask him in a little bit. But anyway, their ancestral home was right there in Ahmednagar, near the bus station. It was a big rambling bungalow, and a great many people lived in that bungalow. And Baba felt so comfortable with his family that he would just walk in at any time of day or night. And if he was hungry, he'd go right in the kitchen and help himself to things. And there were 5 brothers, and Baba said, and I'm the 5th brother. So this is like a very dear family to him. And so I guess, why don't I just start now? Here's what anybody wants to ask a question of Merwan as we go along, or maybe at the end. But I'd like to find out, just beginning, Merwan, how your family got connected with Baba in the beginning.
Okay, Jai Baba, glad to
Yeah.
be here. And I really enjoyed your singing, Jeff. That was beautiful. So coming to my family, the 5 brothers were Mayorji and let me see if I can recite them in the order they were born. One of these days, I need to make a family tree and keep it so I don't forget as time passes. So it was Mayorji and then Hormasji, Nashwan, Jemi, and Pilu. And then we had the 4 sisters were, no, I don't know the order there. So I think it was Shireen Mai was the eldest, and then Gaimai, and then Gulamai, and then Banu Masi. And so, yeah, my grandma was Shireen Mai, was one of the sisters there. So, and so it really don't know what made the family move to Ahmednagar, but I think what had happened was Mayorji was like a engineer and a manager, and so he used to work for the mills that time, the mills in Nagpur, and then he was transferred to China, and so he went to Shanghai. And then when he went to Shanghai, and then I believe it was the First World War that broke out, and then he came to visit Ahmednagar and then could not go back. And then they decided to settle in Ahmednagar and then bought the Akbar Press property. Yeah, I think what had happened also is Pilu, the younger brother, he was also an engineer, kind of looking after the cotton pressing mills that time. And so that was the Akbar Press property. The Akbar Press wasn't many people felt it was a printing press, but actually it was like a cotton press where they pressed the bales of cotton. And so Pilu was working at the Akbar Press, and then Mayorji wanted to retire, and so he didn't want to go back. And so they brought the Akbar Press property, and then that became our home. And then that time Baba started coming to Mehrabad, and Baba was establishing the I think the Prema Ashram that time. And so somehow Nashwan and Pilu, they got the word that there is a Zoroastrian kind of a saint who has come to Mehrabad, and so their curiosity kind of made them go to Mehrabad. And so that's the time, 1920, 1918, something like that. They went and that time had made contact with Baba. And that time Baba naturally was speaking. So Nashwan always used to tell me that, well, I have heard Baba speak. And so that's very unusual for somebody to say, I've heard Baba speak. So that's how I kind of remember our relationship with Baba.
You know, Merwan, I remember your grandfathers saying that when they came back, they said they felt somebody that they met somebody they felt was Zoroaster.
Yes.
They used to say that. Well, we met a man down the road there who they thought was Zoroaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Nashwan had that feeling, and so that's what kind of started that relationship. And naturally, then Nashwan invited Baba to kind of come to Akbar Press, and so then Baba used to stop by. And like you said, yeah, that's my mother always used to tell me that Baba used to always come, and like you were saying, he would just go and we didn't have refrigerators that time. We had a cupboard where it was like a netted cupboard in which we kept the food, and so he'll just go and start eating from there. And so my mother always used to tell me, yeah, and so every time we told my mother anything about food, she would say, "Don't complain. I've cooked for the avatar, so you have no right to complain."
The number one customer.
Yeah.
And are there any like stories that that you remember from that they would share from those early days with Baba back in the early 20s? From the brothers or Gaimai or Banumasi?
Well, the main was Nashwan. Actually, he had the most contact in Pilu, and so the main story was that Baba just won their hearts right from the beginning. And I always felt that those are the lucky people who kind of immediately make a connection and accept Baba's kind of position, divinity, whatever you want to call it. And I've always felt, at least in my kind of association with Baba, that I've always kind of maybe in some ways never understood the height at which Baba is, and at the influence that he has on things. And I always felt that there's a tendency to underestimate that just because Baba is human. So in human form, we forget what this entity is. And so, yeah, I don't recollect much that the others said, but essentially my remembrance of that is with Nashwan. Yeah.
Did your mom? Now your mom had a lot of contact with Baba Meru.
Yeah.
Did she any things that she shared, or would everybody keep things kind of to themselves a lot?
Yeah, my mother shared a lot of stuff. So yeah, she, in fact, there's that cute picture of Baba with he's wearing like a crown, and yeah, and then there's that like a teenage girl standing behind him, and that is my mother. And so in fact
Oh, there it is. Right? Wait.
Oh yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
Rosalie, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Rosalie did make a copy of that and gift it to me. So thank you, Rosalie.
Hey, show
Yeah.
that once again, Rosalie. Show that again.
Wait a minute.
Oh, beautiful. Yep.
Yeah, and so she always was she was one devoted person. And so yeah, I just kind of was always amazed by her devotion and her kind of feelings for Baba. She, although she was with Baba, my dad also that way was with Baba, but they didn't meet for quite some time, and then I think in some ways Baba was the common factor between bringing them two together. So yeah.
Now, was your mother up on the hill with the women mandali sometimes?
Oh yeah, many a times. So yeah, she would naturally. She was living in Ahmednagar, and so, but yeah, my memories of the Manli are just that. My mother used to always be invited to Merazad, and so we used to just go to Merazad. And when I was maybe 7 or 8, we used to go there with the Mandli and with the women Mandli and have tea in the back there with everybody. And it so happens sometimes you kind of reach that age of 10 or 11, something like that. And suddenly I couldn't go. And so that just kind of threw me off that time. But yeah, I still remember having tea with Mera and Mani and Go Ahead and Najamai and Rano and all of those people there. And so it's like, in fact, I was talking to Jeff just yesterday. It's amazing when you're going through all that, you don't realize how special all that is and how kind of temporary that is. It just kind of goes away. And so we need to kind of appreciate what we're going through, and suddenly it's all over and you're in a different chapter, different phase in life. So.
Can you describe your first memory of Baba?
My memory of Baba is the one that happened when Baba had the reception for Dara and Amrit in, I think it was in December 68. And so I remember going to Merazad and then standing in line, and kind of Baba was there on the veranda there. And all of us were walking by them and then bowing to Baba. And so that I'm amazed that that memory is still clearly in my mind. But that's kind of essentially what I remember. But then the other day, Jonathan sent me a picture of Baba and Roshan Kerawala and my mom at Bindra House. And now I don't remember that, but in that there are two babies. One is, not babies, maybe toddlers. One is Mera Kerawala and one is me. And the sad thing was Baba is kind of cheerfully laughing. Have you seen that picture, Jeff?
I don't know.
Rosalie can pull it up, or maybe I'll pull it up and show you. But Baba is, it's like the most cheerful picture of Baba, and that the small boy is crying away. And I said, oh, thanks.
Yeah, and Baba gave you your name, didn't he? Did he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Baba did give me, Baba sent that time Baba sent a telegram to my mom that, name him Merwan. So that's how kind of.
Now, when you met Baba when you were a little older, had you been told that he might be the avatar, that he's God, that he's the grandfather? Did your family give you any kind of prior idea of who he was, or did they just let you go in there kind of and figure it out for yourself?
No, this is interesting, Jeff. These are questions that I haven't myself kind of gone into, but that's a great question. I think the way it happened was, it was just like, it's like there was nothing to be discussed. It's like everybody has accepted it. My mom and dad, they're kind of ardent Baba lovers. And so it was just like second nature. There's no questioning it. But then as things happen, when went into my teenage years, and then later you naturally begin to question a lot of things. And so, yeah, I did go through a phase wherein I began to question the beliefs of my parents. But yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. Well, there's a question from I think it's Diane. Go ahead.
Hi, nice to meet you. We're calling from Venice Beach, California.
Okay.
Since your mom was with Baba from an early age, yeah?
Yes.
Did he have any say about who she should marry? I know you just said your dad was also a Baba lover.
Yeah. I'm not definitely sure, but I'm sure he must have had some role to play in that, but I'm not definitely sure.
A lot of those things were brought to Baba. I mean, the families, the close ones, families would share and get Baba's okay on just about everything.
Correct.
Where you're going to go to college and whether you're going to go to America or.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you know, my mother's sister married Eruch, so Eruch's wife was my mother's sister, and in fact that Baba was aware of that, and Baba did sanction that marriage. So, but I'm sure there was a role that Baba must have played.
Now you said you went to kind of a private school or something near Guru Prasad. Did you ever go over to Guru Prasad and see Baba?
So yeah, what happened that time was must be in '66 that I kind of was put in the school. It by the way, Jeff, it wasn't a private school. Okay, it was supposed to be an orphanage that was later converted into a high school. But it started out as an orphanage, but then since there were not many orphans and not much kind of a demand for that, there's a Parsi trust, and so the Parsi Zoroastrian Trust in India, which kind of manages the school, and so they eventually opened it up to students who wanted to come in also, and so I was placed in that. This school is right opposite, like you said, in right opposite on Bun Garden Road, right opposite Guru Prasad, and I did ask my my mother, why did you put me in that school? And so her reply was, because we couldn't handle you, and so we had 2 more babies after that, 2 more brothers after that. And so, but it was in a way a good thing that I was placed there. Like you said, it made some openings with Guru Prasad. So now my remembrances of that were that whenever Baba came to Guru Prasad, the whole palace had to be cleaned up. And so I remember going there on Sundays. Roshan Kerawala, who was kind of like my mom's cousin, she would come, and she would, or either her or Sam would come. They would pick me up, and then we would go to Guru Prasad and spend the whole day there. But then we were spending the whole day getting ready for Baba to come. And so, but I was just a kid, so my whole interest was running around. I was 10 that time, or maybe 9. So just running around, and but those were my memories. They came, pick me up, and then we will go to Guru Prasad, have a good time there. Then they put me back to school. I had a nice lunch, and so that was the end of it. Yeah.
Rosalie's got a question there.
Hi, Merwan.
Hi, Rosalie.
Hi. Now, you were about 9 or 10 when your dad passed away?
Right.
Okay. And that was after that your mom sent you to school?
No.
No?
So yeah, I went to school before that. So yeah, I went to school in 1966, and my dad passed away in 1969. So yeah.
Wow.
That is also another story of my dad passing away in 1969. So what had happened was he passed away in August, and Baba passed away in January, and so it's around 6.5 months after Baba passed away. And in fact, I was in Ahmednagar once, and this one person comes to me and says, did you know that Baba had told your dad that you will come to me 6 months after I've left? And so I said, come on, you're kidding. He said, no, I was there. And so I said, but why did Baba do that? He said, well, you know Baba's ways, so we don't know why Baba did that, but Baba definitely did that. And kind of that struck me, knowing after Baba left, for my dad to know that Baba has said that you'll be coming to me 6 months after that. And so, but
Wow.
yeah, it is kind of, and I still haven't figured that out still, why that happened. But yeah, you never know the avatar's ways.
Now, any like oh good, we got Goer. Do you know Goer up above? I mean, she's right above you there on my screen. She is Minu Karas's daughter.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She lives in Florida though. We got her in this country.
Oh, wonderful! I didn't know she was in Florida. Okay, great. Nice to meet you here. Go ahead.
Goer, we can't hear you though. Ah,
I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me now? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Okay. Jai Baba Merwan, I'm sorry.
Jai Baba.
So I just wanted to make your family connection once again. So your father and mother, their names were again, please?
My father's name was Barjor Mehta.
Okay. And your mom?
And my mother was Meru Mehta.
And she was the daughter of Shireen?
Yes, she was Shireen. Shireen
okay. Okay. So I just wanted to make the
Sure.
family connection.
And my dad also was one of the ones who started the Mumbai Baba Center along with the others that time. So in fact, that's how he was kind of constantly doing that. And then they got married, and then he moved to Ahmednagar. So.
I see. Thank you.
Hey Joshua, you generally have some good questions there. He's a younger guy from Australia. Yeah.
Oh.
Australia. I have a question that I like to ask lots of people for posterity's sake. It's really difficult, so I'm sorry in advance. But if you could highlight one message of what your personal interpretation is for what you think, if you could send one message to Baba lovers of the future, what would it be?
Great question. I can tell you one message that I would like. Yeah, that's a really good question. It would be that however much you respect Baba or believe Baba, you will not be doing him justice, because you will always underestimate his potential, his stature. And so always keep this in mind. Today, you might not really understand what Baba is, but Baba is, and in fact, I'm speaking from my own experience. Baba does not, Baba lets you know himself, but then what you know at that point in time is not all that Baba has for you. As you grow with Baba, he keeps giving you more and more. And so you kind of keep growing with him. And it's like, it's very, very difficult to really, I think, understand his stature. So you have to always keep in mind that, well, yeah, I feel a doubt, or I don't feel right. But yeah, that's because it's not there's some issue with Baba, but it's in our shortcomings that we don't understand what his true personality is. Good question.
He just keeps getting bigger and bigger on you, you know.
That is very, very correct.
You know, you think you got him, and then, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had one question is, if you were to give advice to yourself, knowing what you know now, what would you say to your young adult self? I mean,
Jeff, you didn't tell me this interview is going to be a real griller here.
no, I mean, just, you
Okay,
kind of
that's
look
good.
at,
Okay, what would I give advice?
I mean, in other words, like for example, a
Yeah,
lot of young people, their idealism is so
good.
high
Okay.
above,
Yeah,
impossible to reach,
yeah,
and they beat themselves up about it sometimes.
yeah.
And you might say
Okay,
lower
so
your, yeah.
when I was born, Baba sent a telegram to my mom saying that name your son Merwan. And I don't know why, but he said, this is Norena. And so that in a way has to quite an extent defined my defined expectations from me, because it at one point it kind of was quite an experience for me to kind of having Baba said something like that. And so what began to happen was, once he did that, then it was like I am sure my family started treating me differently in a sense. There were people who started treating me differently also. And that kind of did affect how my whole kind of thinking about Baba has developed after that. And often you wonder why Baba had to do that, but I mean, he did what he did, and I'm sure there are reasons he did that. But that did change the way, because then once that was there, and then when I was maybe 10 or 12, the question always is, oh, but how can you do that? Baba said you're this, so you need to behave like this, or you need to do this, or these expectations. and so that did happen to me. So in a way, and then my family also was kind of oh yeah, you are kind of, oh yeah. And so that now there are some good things also that happened because of that, which I cannot deny. One of the ones was that I was kind of very friendly with Elizabeth once she kind of began to interact with me. So I remember in my boarding school days that time. Now you can imagine I'm maybe must be 10 or 11 or something like that, and there's a big car that rolls in there, and these some Americans kind of come out and they're asking for me. And so naturally the principal is wanting to know why these Americans are wanting to see this kid who is an Indian. And so anyway, they allow me to meet them. And so I remember it was Elizabeth, Jane, and Wendy, who were kind of at the time they came to meet me. And so I'm kind of dazzled. I'm kind of you're just kind of saying, oh, what now? What is all this? And so why are they interested in me? And the good thing was Elizabeth that time had brought a gift for me, and it was one of those like those Lego sets, and you can build the USS Enterprise from that. And it was like a big kind of a model of the USS Enterprise. And I remember once they gave me that, naturally, without doubt, after they left, I was quite a popular kid for a while, because everybody wanted to see how to kind of assemble that USS Enterprise. And so it was quite a kind of a thing. We kind of assembled the whole thing, and it had these motors and lights and batteries and all that. And then we had these big showers that time. And so we used to fill up the whole shower with water and run that USS Enterprise. So those are the, I said, oh, it's good that some Americans know me. They come and give me a gift like this. But yeah, it has kind of sometimes made me think. And in fact, one of the good things that I did was I had a good discussion about this with Eruch, and Eruch was kind of that time in Ahmednagar, and I used to kind of meet with him and talk to him and all. And he gave me advice early on that really kind of I took to heart and have always lived by that. And he said, Merwan, forget everything. Just be yourself. I said, that's good advice.
Stop reading all the life of.
Stop getting into all these and stop guessing and stop trying to figure out what you have to do and all that. Just because Baba said that, just ignore it and just go with it. So, Shireen was Eruch's mother's sister. Oh, is that Jane Brown? Okay, Shireen was Eruch's mother's sister. Right, that is correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the 4 sisters. Yeah. And Rosalie's got another question.
Mm-hmm.
And take the
Okay, by the way,
spotlight.
I just wanted to make this clarification. Okay,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Because this Shireen Mai that I'm talking about, that was another Shireen. That was not Baba's mother.
All right.
So yeah, Shireen Mai is Baba's mother, right? Shireen Mai, that was also Shireen Mai was Baba's mother, but this was another Shireen, yeah.
What I want to ask you, Merwan, is about Nashwan. I really liked Nashwan. And, he told me about his political activity with Gandhi, and he's thrown into jail several times. And in fact, one time, Dr. Ghani gave him the homeopathic manual, and he studied and became a homeopathic doctor. And I wanted you to say something about Nashwan, because I truly don't like everything. Always, what my understanding was that Baba said it's all right if you hang around with Gandhi, whatever, but he says, as long as you know who your boss is. That's what I remember from Nashwan. But it's not like politics is just a totally evil thing. It's like, so, but he was thrown in jail many times, wasn't he?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
he went to jail with the freedom fighters. Yeah, he was but Nashwan was kind of a unique person in the sense he truly was a service-oriented person. He truly wanted to serve the people. The most of the politicians there, I'm sure these days, they're just interested in their own kind of agendas. But Nashwan, that's why he started one of those the boarding schools there in Ahmednagar.
Oh, wow.
And so he still there are trustees that still run the boarding school. And so in fact, I was in Ahmednagar December 2019, and they invited me to give a talk on just a general talk, and at the college there. And this college is the College of Pharmacy, and the land that was belonging to this orphanage was donated to the College of Pharmacy, and they have named it N.N. Satha College of Pharmacy. So they have named a College of Pharmacy in his name now, naturally, because he was a homeopathic doctor. And so, but he truly was interested in the upliftment of people. He truly wasn't interested in whether this person is low or high or anything like that. He really considered everybody to be on the same kind of a level there. And he, in fact, in his political career also, he always was trying to fight for the poor person, for the person who cannot afford things. And he always knew that there are good people, or good people will come from anywhere. And so let us encourage these poor people and see if there are some gems in them. Let's let them shine. So he really believed that.
Yeah.
He also pointed out to me where Baba was outside of Akbar Press when Baba Jan had herself driven up to see him for the last time. They weren't close. Baba Jan stayed in the taxi, he said, And they looked at each other for some time, and then she had herself driven back.
Mm.
And that was the last time I saw. Yeah. And I thought, wow, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, very special place, you know. Yeah. And yeah, and I could say this, that I never, it was Nashawan who said to me one day, out of the blue, I was staying at Meher Kalina, and he says, Rosalie, you know, Norina lives down the road. That's what he said.
See, that's what I was telling you.
Said, and I'd already heard, you'd call it the Baba gossip line, you know. And I says, well, I'd like to meet him. And then he had you come up and meet me. You were 16 then.
Oh, I was 16.
That was
okay.
76. And I have to say, why, for me, I'm glad Baba told you, just for that reason alone, because you are not into that lifetime. You're very present in your Merwan lifetime. And that's what you did for Baba then. That's not now. You're now. That's the value for me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And it's very valuable, because what could be more valuable than being in the present with Baba? Yeah. So anyway, I mean, there's all sides to something, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, what's always amazed me was my friendship with Adele.
Oh,
and yeah, I'm sure most of you know Adele Walkins, right? And so, yeah, Adele, we started becoming friends in the 90s, in the 1990s or something like that. We started writing to each other, and then she invited me to go to California, and so I went for the Sathas there once, and then she moved down to Myrtle Beach, and so it was amazing. And one thing that kind of always amazed me was Adele never treated me like Merwan.
Yeah.
and the more I tried to kind of tell her, but I mean, it was quite an experience, and I'm glad that when that happened, I was kind of, I guess, mature enough, and it didn't affect me. But yeah, it's amazing how much Adele kind of took to that. Yeah, and the other thing was Margaret Krask.
Oh yeah, tell that. That's funny.
Well, in fact, yeah. So in 1988, I came here to America. I came in 1987. First went to college here, and that time we visited. So my mother was visiting me, and so we visited Myrtle Beach for the first time. And so that time Kitty was there, and Jane was there, and Margaret Krask was there. And so somehow they all of they took me and made me sit beside Margaret. And so I'm sitting with Ruki, that's my wife, is there. And so we're sitting there. And the first thing Margaret says to me, she looks me straight in the eye. And the first thing she utters is, "You never liked me, did you?" That is the first thing she said.
Oh, no.
And so naturally, I just got up and said, "Margaret, where did you get that impression?" And I hugged her.
Oh my God.
You know, Merwan, what Margaret said is, she said, I really had problems with Norina Machabelli. I like the later version better, the newer version better. I really like the, yeah.
Which version was she talking about?
Oh my God.
I like this new version better. I mean, that's just typical Margaret Krask,
Yeah.
Hey, so Diane has a question.
Yes.
Hi again. I actually have a couple questions.
Sure.
In no certain order. One is, I don't know if I missed it in the bio introduction about where you live in the world now and
Oh, sure. Yeah. I should have said you that. Like, let me tell you that. So, okay. So, okay, I moved to the
I have
US.
more questions though.
Sure. But let me, and that might benefit the others also. So let me tell you what I do and all that. So yeah, my life, the way it has gone is I graduated from a university in Mumbai in 81. From 81 to 87, I was in India. I moved back to Ahmednagar for those 6 years, and I kind of started a business there with one of my other friends there. Then in 87, decided to come to the US to go get a master's. And so went to the University of Missouri in Rolla. That's kind of the center of the US. And then I was in Rolla for 15 years. And then in between there, I was in Chicago for 3 years, working as a design engineer. And then went back to Rolla, got a PhD in engineering management. And then at the moment, I'm a professor at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. So that's my story. And the reason I kind of even chose Greenville is 3.5 hours from the center. So that was one of my kind of lures to come to North Carolina, since it's close to the center. Now with this COVID thing, it's kind of not possible for me to visit the center so much, but that was definitely a draw here. So.
And then I do want to ask a question about the Narina issue, because I can certainly feel the pain and the angst about how everybody treated you differently. Mm-hmm. But as you've grown older with that information, is there any part of you, like, I have no idea about any past lives I've had, let alone been told that I was someone that mm-hmm. I am familiar with. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that resonates? You know, we talk about you pack a suitcase and that's what you're going to bring in the next lifetime. Is there anything that you've heard in, you know, the books about her and stories about her that resonate with the Merwan, the new version, the new improved version?
No, I don't know. It just like I said, and in fact, I then started reading books, and so I've read some books on Baba and all that also. And Baba kind of says that also in many ways, that you've gone through so many lives and you've gone through so many associations. So just the last association shouldn't mean so much, or your last experiences shouldn't mean so much. So yeah, I mean, who knows who I was before Noreen, maybe a dacoit or something, right? In Missouri or something. But the whole point is, no, so what at one point I also thought like that maybe, since Baba said that, maybe there is some relationship between what I'm doing now, or what I'm thinking now, with what she was doing, what Norina had. But then it began to dawn on me, that is, if we are talking about lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, that is just one point of reference. And so we shouldn't give so much importance to just one point of reference. And so pretty much the way I look at things now is I kind of truly believe that, like Baba said, that it's all, you have been placed here to experience certain things and to kind of polish up some of your drawbacks. And so all we're trying to do is make sure we keep moving in that direction, and really not worry about what's in the past. So that's the way I've been looking at it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. But she had did you have another question, Diane, or?
I'm sure I will, but I see Rainey, and sometimes she asks what I don't know how to ask.
Go ahead. I mean, it's fine.
No, go ahead.
Rainey, okay. We'll go with Rainey. Go ahead.
Hi, Merwan. Rainey.
Hello.
Here. I too was a Mayor Colony groupie.
Oh, yes, I know you, Rainey. Oh, yeah.
I met you when you were a boy. I don't know how old. We were mostly down the back in the first year, and very quickly switched from the Ashoka, because we were the poor ones, or the or the Daulat. We weren't Vilu peoples who could afford. So we would go then once, it was decided to set that army compound up for us out the back. I just thought it was heaven. I mean, it reminded me of Avatar's Abode, actually, just the simplicity, and Kali cooking for us.
Oh yeah, we miss
Yeah.
Kali. Yeah.
We cook an omelette, man. The crows would try to fly off with our omelets. They were so good. But then we started being invited to the front house, and I started to realize what an idealistic, beautiful person Nashwan Mama was. And then we had the honor of receiving their done. And I had never had much to do with disabled people. That's why I was sort of so shocked when I had a disabled kid. But for some reason, and this is before those days, I just got it. My God, this woman's a ballerina and she can't move, I got it. And I thought, well, all I can do then is know that in her imagination, she's still singing and dancing. So I would go and sing to her. And she became incredibly attracted to Francis's lyrics of his old-fashioned songs, like Eileen and the simpler songs. And it was just such a delight to go up there and sing to her, and then to meet you. And I think I also met the woman that was Eruch's wife very early on. I think she was still alive and there in the very first time. Yes, Caution. And but you were shy. I remember that you were shy, and I also felt that there was a lot of pressure on you. So I just treated you like a boy. I didn't want to try and, I didn't dare mention fragrance or wind song or, and plus we were around Francis. We were never encouraged to talk of reincarnation or other lives, just Baba's making it new, just this life or anything psychic. He didn't like anything like that. And so I was, and I felt that you appreciated that. I just talked to you like a boy.
Thank you.
Or whatever, yeah. But do you have some impressions about our dear Dun?
Oh yeah. Dun was very, very special. So yeah, I guess just for the information of others, Dun was the daughter of Hormuzji, and so she was Roshan Kerawala's sister, and so I was kind of fortunate enough that when I moved back to Ahmednagar in '81, Dun kind of was there. And so
I just like to say that Dun had muscular dystrophy, fairly advanced by the time she came to Akbar Press.
Right. And so she could not move. And so naturally, she always wanted to go to the Samadhi. So I had the good fortune of kind of taking her there. And I remember Jack Small was kind of kind enough that time. He would we didn't have cars that time there. So I just ran around on a motorcycle there in Ahmednagar. So we used to ask Jack Small to kind of bring his car, and then we used to take Dhan up there to the Samadhi. And so Dhan was a very, very special person. I mean, she could not move. She had limited movement in her last days, but her devotion to Baba was absolute. And that is another thing that I just kind of was lucky enough to see how a person can be devoted to her beloved. So what she did in her spare time, I don't know how many people know about this. That's what she did. She just wrote Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai, Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai. That's all she did in her spare time. And that's how she kind of, and so just amazing woman.
And, Merwan too, Baba, this is so touching, but in all those last years, Baba wanted her to write to him every day.
Yes.
And he wrote to, and I guess Baba responded through somebody, but can you imagine writing to Baba every day all through the latter years of Baba's life?
Yes.
And giving the story of how the family's doing and all, what a touching thing that he kept that lovely, beautiful link with her.
Yeah. And some of the stories she told me were just kind of amazing. I mean, she used to tell me that Baba visited her, and so I had to kind of say, "Wow, Baba!" And this is after Baba left, so after Baba was no more. So I felt that was kind of amazing. That she was really a special person.
We got Goer up there. Yeah.
Merwan, I wanted to ask about when you first met Baba. Was it as a child? You obviously were very young at the time. So can you talk about your first meeting with Baba?
So I didn't interact with Baba, or at least I don't remember any interactions with Baba, but the only kind of remembrances that I have of Baba is Baba was standing on the veranda there of at Merazad during Dara and Amrit's reception. And so, and in fact, and all of us are walking by and just bowing to him, and this was in, I think, 10th of December, 66, 68 or something.
68. That was
68,
December
so, yeah.
of 68.
10th
Yeah.
of December, 68. Yeah, and he passed away another 40 days or so. So yeah, and in fact, the only thought I had that time was Baba really looks tired, and so that was kind of still. I was surprised that. What's that? Yeah, that's the thought I had, and I still thought, why am I thinking?
Was
Baba
that your
tired?
first meeting? Oh.
Yeah, at least that's what I remember.
Oh, having a lag.
Now, is there any, without getting too personal, how do you live your
And that
life?
was your first.
Oh, go ahead, Goer. Yeah. Go ahead, Goer. Yeah.
I just thought people might like to see Eruch with Dan.
Yes, that's a great picture. Mm-hmm.
Oh, move it toward the and then there. Oh, there she is, and that's Virginia Small behind.
Virginia Jackson.
Yeah.
Small.
Beautiful. I mean, imagine somebody holding your head for you so you could speak better and so on. Just magnificent.
Come down a little, and that's my aunt at the back here. That's interesting.
Oops, sorry. It's getting worse by the minute. So.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, there we go. Was that your aunt over here?
Yeah. So yeah, that lady beside Virginia.
Yeah.
She's still alive. Yeah. She is married to my mother's brother. My mother's brother is no longer there, but she's still alive.
Oh.
And I can see Bill LePage. Isn't that Bill?
Yeah, it looks like Bill LePage. Yeah.
And Virginia and Elaine Cox. Is it? Maybe. No. I love this photo. I mean, I just remembered I should.
Yeah, beautiful.
So incredible.
Beautiful.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. And I just wanted to know, Merwan, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I do have two brothers. One of my brother lives in Ahmednagar. He is the director at that management institute in Ahmednagar.
Okay.
And my other brother, Bayram, he lives in Mumbai.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Now, Merwan, any without getting too personal, how do you live? How does your day unfold? How is Baba in your life? You know.
Okay.
I mean, that's a kind of a very personal question, and you can ignore it if you want.
No, that's a good question. So, Baba, it's like you're constantly kind of trying to figure out what Baba wants you to do, and so I guess naturally in life you're going to have ups and downs, and especially these days with COVID and all that. But one of the things that I've kind of at least of late begun to live by is be cheerful. And so Baba said, don't worry, be happy, but you need to go a step further and say, okay, also be cheerful. So even if you whatever you are doing, be kind and be just try to make a difference. And so essentially that's where I kind of come these days is, okay, how can I make a difference, and what Baba would really like me to do in making a difference. So to answer your question, what do I do in that? One thing for sure, Baba does not let you forget him. So that's one thing you have to kind of make sure every effort. And then these days I've been trying meditation, and so I said, okay, let me meditate on Baba, and so I've been trying that, and it makes a difference. So it just allows me to kind of at least have that interaction with Baba. And so, but like I'm saying, as you get older, you begin to appreciate the thing about Baba more and more, about what his whatever he said has a totally different meaning now as you age and you kind of begin to think about it in a different sense. So,
What were any challenges that you could share in your life? We have some younger people here. Some of the challenges that you've come up, that you had to work out with Baba.
I can tell you one thing that Baba does is, whatever is your fear, Baba is going to make you confront it. And when that happens, you better keep in mind that it's your test, and Baba is behind you, but he's wanting to see how you kind of perform. And so make sure you kind of keep that in mind. So if you have a fear of something or it will happen. So that's the whole thing. So yeah, you asking me about challenges or and all that. I had a pretty decent life after I moved to Ahmednagar. So I, in 81, moved to Ahmednagar, had a job first at Crompton Greaves. That's one of the companies there that makes motors in India, and then started a business with one of my friends. And so, but by the way, this friend has become, he owns some 5-6 factories now, and he's become a big shot there in Ahmednagar. So, but I mean, there was a time when you kind of are there, and any time that I wanted to go to Mehrabad, I could just go in the morning and just go to Mehrabad, and suddenly everything changes. You are in a different country, and sometimes it hits you so fast and so hard, you don't even know what happened. And then now to go to Mehrabad is like you have to have a whole big plan in place to go back to Mehrabad. And you could just sit on your motorcycle and go there. So essentially what I'm saying is, you will run into issues. Baba will kind of put you there, and you have to keep in mind that everybody's journey is different. Everybody will be tested different. Everybody has to have different experiences. So you cannot say, oh, this person is this or this person is that. We truly cannot judge others, what their journey is and what their experiences are and what their relationship to Baba is. So in fact, I'll tell you a funny one here. So that time, you know Teresa and Michael Kaiser, they live in Missouri. Teresa.
Yeah.
And so that time when we were in Missouri, we became quite friendly with Teresa and Michael. Teresa passed away, but Michael still lives in Missouri there. And so at one point, Teresa and Michael were always coming up to the center, the Myrtle Beach Center, whenever Bauji came. And so they told me, oh, we're going to meet, we're going to go and meet Bauji. And so they said that. I said, tell Bauji my regards. And they said, yeah, we'll tell Bauji your regards. And they go to Bauji and say, yeah, there's regards. And that time, Bauji, as a joke, when they told them my regards, said, oh, Merwan, he's forgotten Baba or something like that. He must have said it in a joking manner. And Teresa calls me and says, that's what Bauji said. And I said, and I got so kind of shaken up. I called Bauji and I wanted to talk to him. I said, I mean, yeah, it's okay to say that. You had no idea.
Yeah.
He said, no, that was just but yeah, things like those happen. So, but I have always kept that in mind. Always we need to keep in mind, everybody's journey is different. We cannot judge, or we cannot say, oh, this person is that, or this person is this. Everybody has a different path, a different test, and a different way of being evaluated. So,
Yeah. You know, being in the academic world where there's sometimes a lot of competition, have you had to deal with a lot of interpersonal, departmental conflicts, or
yeah.
how have you done with those things?
Now you're asking the difficult ones.
Well, we're all stuck with these things.
So my specialization is operational excellence for organizations. So and I teach that, and then I also consult in that, how to make an organization kind of better, how to improve their processes, and how to get results. And it is just amazing how a lot of times what all Baba has said also applies to organizations and relationships within organizations. So, and I've kind of caught myself a number of times saying things that I tell when I'm consulting without stating Baba's name, but I'm saying you need to do that. And so you say, well, okay. And if there's an organizational issue, you would say, well, and I kind of tell them that a number of times. Well, each of us are different, and so in fact, I work a lot with these presidents and vice presidents and plant managers, and so usually I'm telling them, okay, you need to figure out what each person's desires are, what they're truly wanting in life, and if you want to succeed with them, you need to interact with them and really encourage them to become their best. And so these are some things that kind of come from Baba's kind of ideas there. So yeah, I have having the whole support of Baba literature and Baba stories and all that has kind of affected the way I talk with them and the way I kind of tell them to improve and become better. And I kind of always take the path of compromise. So it's amazing. I mean, always there is a way. Once you can understand where the other person comes from, there is definitely a way to find compromise. And so if a person is not ready to compromise, or if a person is insistent on a certain way, once you begin to dig deeper, you might agree with that person for that matter, because you will realize, oh yeah, I kind of didn't think of it that way. So you kind of, I feel that it behooves each of us to really understand where the other person is coming from, especially when there's a big difference of opinion, and then try to see how we can make it work.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. We got Rosalie again coming in.
Whoops. Merwan, I want to know what your thoughts are about, Baba said in the early 30s, when his first visit to America, that we had tremendous energy, but it was too materialistic, and that he would transform it into creative and spiritual channels. Well, and he also said we were after his blood, and he spilled that blood in Oklahoma. And what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that was, that's a tremendous thing happening there. And now the country's so crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Okay. The divided states.
So one of the things that I am constantly saying whenever I do these projects with companies is, it is more important to be aligned than right. Mm-hmm. And the whole point there is, so naturally they kind of say, so do you mean to tell us that once we think of something, we should give it up? I said, that's not the point. The point is, we have to come together, discuss things, really discuss these from the heart to understand each other, and then come up with a way of how we should do these things. Now, in certain cases, you might come to a point wherein what you think might not be the way that the whole team thinks, or your whole group thinks. And if that is the case, then for the time being, be aligned with the thoughts of others, given to what the team thinks, and do that for a while. And so that's what I tell them. It's more important to be aligned. So they decide that, okay, if this is what we're going to do, I don't think this is right, but for the sake of consensus, for the sake of moving ahead, let us, for at least a certain time, agree that we are going to do it this way. And that might not be your way, but you're agreeing to do it that way. And then stick with it for a certain amount of time. Then come back and evaluate whether that worked or not. And then decide whether you want to change your path or not. And it's amazing. The businesses or teams or groups is a microcosm of the whole thing that we're seeing all over. So people are the same. So people in a team, they kind of, everybody thinks their way is right. And so everybody wants to do it one way. And in fact, everybody wants to do it their own way. And so what I kind of tell them is, you have to come up with one way of doing it. And so to come up with one way of doing it, you will have to give up your desire to be right and be aligned, so that you can at least try out that way. And if that way doesn't work, you can come back and reevaluate it. But at least for the time being, we have to give in to move as a unit, because if not, then all of us are going to suffer. And that's what we are seeing as a state or as a country. I mean, all of us are kind of different ideas, and all of us kind of are not ready to give it up at all. And that's what is kind of taking us in different directions. So that is one thing I kind of always tell them. It is more important to be aligned than right. And so you have to have a discussion, create a consensus, and then agree to one way of doing it, and then go with it.
Wonderful. No, I wish you'd told me that about 20 years ago. Josh is, we got Josh happening there.
Hey, yeah, I love that answer to that question. I thought that was an excellent answer, Merwan. That was very clever to tie. And I think you're so right that group dynamics on a small scale, even at work, apply on a whole scale to the whole world. My question was, how do you like to remember Baba throughout the day? Generally, like what kind of tips and tricks do you use?
Great question. So, I mean, I just absolutely like the idea of starting out with Baba. So in the morning, just the moment you get up, you bring a picture of him. And my favorite picture is the one that is there in the Ahmednagar center there, where Baba is. It's like he has this long hair and he's looking on the side, and I'm sure one of you, I'm sure you're talking about that. You can kind of see that it's a very beautiful picture. And so that's kind of the image I always have in my mind about Baba. I absolutely love that picture. So you start out with that, and then at every point you kind of keep making sure you keep remembering him. And here is a test. And so the way I look at it is, if something happens, if somebody drops something or something, if your reaction is not Baba, then you know you're not maybe remembering him enough. Because Baba said that you need to keep remembering me all the time, so that when your time comes, at the very end, you'll remember me. So yeah, it's and I do try to read Baba's things. So I kind of like the idea of, in fact, I have subscribed to one of the ones wherein you get an email every day about, I think it's from which others, the Bauji's books,
Or Baba Talk.
Not Baba Talk, which is the one, the multiple volumes he wrote of Baba's whole.
Lord Mayhair.
Lord Mayhair, right,
yeah.
right. So
quotes from there?
Yeah, the quotes from there, everyday quote from there.
Oh, Eruch Solabaki, yeah.
Yeah, that is great. I just love that. Every day he kind of gives something about remember, and that kind of relates to the same day that it happened a few years back, or a few decades back. So.
Tony Paranidi.
Hi. Merwan, it's such a pleasure to begin to get to know you here.
Thank you, same here.
And I didn't think I would have much to say because I like past life stuff and I particularly like all this Narina stuff. And I knew it could be really uncomfortable for you, so I thought I'm just going to sit it out. But you just said something that made me change my mind.
Okay.
When you were talking about your work, your systems work, and especially it's more important to be aligned than right. And even if you may believe something strongly, if the rest of the group, at least for the moment, align with the group, and all this approach of letting go and giving in struck me as so different from the image that we have of Narina, like from Nasik, of being a little bit peremptory, a little bit maybe dictatorial and pushing her views. And I just started laughing because I thought, well, she has clearly learned a lot, as you. You know? It's a wonderful, I love, what I like with reincarnation things is you get to see that progression a little bit. Anyway, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, real pleasure to meet you. I have lately come to feel a great personal connection with Narina.
Okay.
So I really did want to have a chance to meet version 2.0.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
No, just a minute, Jeff, though. I mean, one thing about Narina that has always kind of amazed me is her, what did they call it, the telepathic things that Baba kind of sent to her. And that's just kind of really made me think a lot. I mean, that just is amazing. And so I'm trying to still figure that out, but it's just, that's something that I haven't come to terms with. Let me put it that way.
Well, you got to work on it, Merwan. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
Baba said that after death, the soul spends time in heaven or hell and assimilates the experiences. So I was making a comment that all the time that Norina spent in the hell must have helped with all this perspective.
I hope you're right, Mayor Prasad.
Let's try Payam. We haven't heard from Payam yet. She's out in California.
Okay.
Jai Mayor Baba.
Jai Mayor Baba.
So wonderful to meet you, Merwan.
Same here.
And I really appreciate your sharing. And, you know, one of the things I sometimes struggle with is knowing what would be pleasing to Baba. Should I do this or should I do that? And sometimes they're little things or seemingly little things like, should I go to the store now or not? And I, of course, have the practical mind to know like how to make certain decisions. And then there's some big ones. And, you know, we were hearing a lot about, you know, Baba also said to balance the head and the heart. And I'm just curious how you come to make decisions, big or small, in your life.
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I kind of try to do is whenever a decision is there, evaluate how it'll be for everybody that is involved. And so my goal is always to maximize the benefit that the decision can get. So it's how to make the most people happy. How will most people be happy by that decision? A number of times that does not work out because what you think might not be the same that others think. And so at times it just comes back, I just use the whole principle of consensus building. And so the whole concept of consensus building is, if there are multiple people involved, then you kind of make everybody aware that, well, we're trying to do the most good for the most number of people. At the same time, if your thought is not the same as of the majority, then we need to know why. And you have to have that thought process there, that you're ready to share why you think that is not going to work out. And a number of times it's just some fears that people have, because of which they are not understanding or appreciating what that decision should be. So that's on one side. And then the other side, I also kind of, whenever we're making a decision, make sure to mention the thought of no silent disagreements. And so what I mean by no silent disagreements is, if you are invited to be part of a decision, then if you feel that this decision is not going your way, you cannot say that I'm not going to be part of this, and since I'm not participating in this decision making, this decision does not apply to me. So the whole concept of no silent disagreement means, if you are in a discussion and if you think that you have a different opinion, you better come out with that and have a mindset that you will convince the others, or be ready to be convinced yourself. And that is the only way we can have a true discussion as to what is beneficial to the majority of us, and then make the best decision. Now, I'm talking about making a bigger decision, but in a smaller decision, when a number of times we make a small decision, I just kind of, I a number of times think, Baba said, all this is an illusion anyway. All you're doing is trying to kind of capture some experiences. So if it is going to make you experience something or make you learn something, just go with it and just not take it too seriously. So, I mean, I truly believe it's if it's not going to affect you big time, small decisions just make anyway, and just go with it. And so, in fact, if it's a small decision, if it's somebody else says, I want to eat this, and you say this, and so, okay, just let's go with what you want, because it's not a big decision, and real happiness lies in making others happy anyway. So let's just go with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jai Baba. Yes.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
I'm going to some people that haven't spoken yet. Meher?
Merwan, you were
Yes.
saying about how you get up in the morning and you look at Baba. Now, here, what I have been thinking a lot, and I have a lot of help, and many people have told me, whenever you go out of the house, you must always look at Baba and tell him, why don't you come with me? I'm going somewhere, anywhere. Just tell him, okay, why don't you come with me and have a food with me? It's very nice. Come with me to the shop. And Baba, because we wear our Baba chain, and Baba is in our heart all the time. So he always comes with me. I've always noticed that.
That's a great thought. Yeah.
Now
Beautiful.
we don't know where he's coming, but he always says, okay, this is for you. Take it. Come with you.
Bravo. That's great.
Thank you.
So go with Mayor Prasad.
Yes, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Oop. We're missing you, Mayor Prasad. Something happened.
Right, somebody muted me, but
You're good.
okay. Yeah, Jai Baba. I was wondering if you, in your life, there were times where you missed Baba's physical presence, and where you long to be with him physically.
good question. I have somehow I have always felt Baba to be more spiritual or more non-physical, and so, and at least this has been at least in my recent years now. Initially, I felt like you kind of look at Baba and say, okay, this is a person, and he says he's the avatar, but in a number of ways, that is a kind of a misleading thing for us, because us looking at Baba's picture makes us think, oh, here's a man, here's a human, and he's all that. And so a thought might come to you, well, he's since he says that, maybe he's my master, he's a little better. But in so thinking, we are undermining his whole stature as the avatar, or as, because think about it, truly think about it. If we were to believe what Baba says, right? Baba says, I'm God and I'm part of God, and you are going to finally become God. So if truly we believe that is such a deep belief, right? And if Baba says that the goal of life is for us to become one with God, that is like the ultimate goal of goals, right? What goal can be bigger than that? I mean, even your goal to be the emperor of the world cannot be as big as this, trying to be one with God and then finally becoming God. So the whole point is, yes, when you say physical, these days I'm beginning to think it's all spiritual. It's all kind of there. And so another thing that I've also felt these days is, if the goal of goals is to become one with God, that's not going to happen in a lifetime or a few lifetimes. It's going to take lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, because that is the goal of goals, right? I mean, that's the super ultimate goal. And if humans have existed for all these years, however many 100,000 or however many years there, and we keep coming, the whole thing is, the goal is so big, we might have to come for quite a few more kind of incarnations. And so that's the way I began to think, oh, this is all spiritual. I mean, we are here in a physical form to experience all these things, but it all comes down to a spiritual state of mind. And so eventually it's all going to be our relationship with Baba on a spiritual kind of a level, at the thought level. That's the way I'm feeling. So yes, I haven't had that feeling for Baba's presence in a physical, but naturally I feel, yes, I want to kind of move closer to him in that spiritual sense.
Yeah, so you're kind of following the presence and not the physical shape of the presence. Kind of.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. A lot of issues would kind of in the world go away if we started thinking of it like that, right? If we started thinking that all of us are souls and all of us have been given these garments that we call our bodies, the physical body, and these garments, some have white garments, some have black garments, some have brown garments, and we have started judging people based on the garment they're wearing. And we've started judging people on the basis of experience they're supposed to be having. And if we start thinking differently about this whole thing, a lot of the issues will go away, because then all of us will begin to think, well, we have a common goal, and these are just things that we have been given to experience. And once all this goes away, we're going to be all one anyway.
So you're kind of saying relate soul to soul rather than personality to personality, if we can, essence to essence.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have a tendency to look at the physical form, and that kind of is a reason for a majority of issues we have in the world, right? I mean, there's just...
Yeah. We have a different taste in clothes and then fight over that.
And then those are not your choices. You can't do anything about it, right? You're born in a skin, so I mean that's what you got. So I mean you can't do anything about it. So
yeah.
How can I blame somebody or blame somebody doing something? Because that's what they are supposed to be doing here, and that's what they are kind of supposed to experience. So.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do about it except maybe change. Well, let's see. Let's go to Merwan there in Hyderabad.
Jai Meher Baba Merwan. Can
Jai
you hear
Baba.
me?
Yes.
Since you are born and brought up totally in a very nearest Baba's family, so do you have any personal instructions from Baba or from the Mandali to how to live in a daily life as a daily routine, either from the Mandali or from your uncles, Eruch or Meherwan or Manu, or from Women Mandali?
Good question. Very good question. So I have kept one principle in mind about Baba, and Baba said, "Be of the world, be in the world, but not of the world." And so whatever has happened to me, good and bad, I kind of keep that in mind. And so sometimes I feel I don't get too happy about something good and too sad about something bad. So, but that's essentially where it comes down to. You kind of just be in the world and experience it and just make the most of it. And the way I've kind of begun to realize of late is it's all about how we are interacting with each other and how we are building these relationships. And every relationship or every interaction that we have with others is meant to enhance our experience in learning whatever we are supposed to be learning at this point in time. So no, I don't have any specific ones that anybody has told me that you need to do that, but pretty much I believe those basic ones that Baba always has: be cheerful and be in the world but not of the world, and try to do the most good you can. So
let's see what
Thank you,
BJ.
Jai Baba, Merwan ji.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
It's so nice to see you, and I was always interested to see you, because young days Mandli, they had whispering in the ear is not a open thing.
What were they whispering?
Oh, you know, Norina, Merwan Mehta.
See what I was telling you. Now imagine yourself to be a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I was just curious that in the Baba world, you are looked upon as a Norina, and in the other world, you are as a Merwan. Which role you like?
You think I'm playing a double role here?
I'm sure, because whenever we look at you, the first thought comes as Norina. We are curious. All mostly Baba people. Myself, at least, I can say, yeah.
Like I said earlier, I've always tried to figure out, okay, so how is this information helping me to maybe work on my ego or enhance my experiences or bring me closer to Baba. So essentially, it's all about how I move forward from this point onwards. And so the way I look at it, I've never considered that the anything to do with past life has as having affected me of what I'm doing now. So my constant thought is that should not affect whatever I'm doing now. And in fact, like I told you earlier, at one point it did intrigue me, or it did kind of affect me, because it affects you when other people kind of are talking of you in a different sense. But I'm glad I had that interaction with Eruch when I did, and he just, what he said was, just ignore everything, don't get affected by it, just live what you want to live. So no, I don't try to be different in different lives there. In fact, even for even in the Baba world, I would like to be just Merwan, and so that's why kind of a lot of thoughts what I'm telling you is based on what I have kind of I guess gathered in this lifetime. And so
I'm happy that you are in America. Otherwise, in India, I think that life would have been more difficult.
I did spend my first 30 years of my life in India. So in next 30 years, I'm in America. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll
So
go
just
for
give me a
Gabriella.
second here, just a second here, Jeff. There's some discussion, so let me make some clarifications here. So where does your brother live in Mumbai, and how are you related to Merwan Mehta in Mumbai? He's the secretary of AMB Bombay Center. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, so yeah, there are two Merwan Mehtas, and so one is my brother and the other is my cousin, this other Merwan Mehta, and he's the secretary of the AMB Bombay Center. And yes, and somebody wrote that, Yasmin, I think, wrote, right, I believe you both, his father's name is Nariman Mehta. So Nariman Mehta was the son of my grandfather's brother. So this is from my father's side now. So Merwan Mehta, the one that you're mentioning there, who is and he is just amazing, this Merwan Mehta also. I mean, both Merwan Mehtas are amazing. With this one in Mumbai, he is the secretary of the AMB Bombay Center, and he plays the Baba's role in all these skits and dramas and all that, and he does a great job of that. So that's wanted to just
great.
mention.
Yeah, he came to the center here and
yes,
put on this play, and it's really quite powerful.
Yes,
you know, because you know, it's like one day you're going to see Baba standing just like that, you know, and he was he's got it all down. Gabriella.
Jai Baba, Merwan.
Jai Baba.
I live in Chapel Hill, and for years Adele was telling me, you must go see Merwan or how, and I don't think we met, but I have heard of you for many years. So
you in Chapel Hill? Are you in Chapel Hill?
Chapel Hill, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
My daughter goes to school there. Okay.
Oh, well, we have to have her over for dinner. So. Well, outside. Well, that's my question. My question has to do with the pandemic. So because you were mentioning about your relationship to Baba, and you feel him to be more spiritual than physical, and I can relate to that. I think many of us who never got to meet Baba can relate to that. But I had the feeling during the pandemic that he's really speeding up that process, because we can't be together physically in bodies very easily anymore. We certainly can't get to Mehrabad very easily. We can't get to the center so easily, those kind of things. And so I was just wondering if you had a comment on the pandemic and what you think Baba is doing with the humanity through it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of the things that I felt the pandemic has done, if you want to call it that, the silver lining, is exactly what we're doing now. Just think about it. Before the pandemic, we never met online. When we have people from California and Australia and all of you where you are from. So I mean, that's the whole thing, and that's the beauty of all this. And so I do believe, truly believe that something good is going to come out of all this, and so it's going to. I believe definitely it's going to reduce the materialism that is there in the world, because people are feeling, oh, we don't need so much. We can kind of share with others. We can have much better relationship with others. We don't need to kind of be outright mean with each other and all that. So all that is kind of going to be good, and especially the interactions that we're having. That's another thing also. So yeah, I do believe that that's the good part of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people would only come to the center once a year or once every 2 years. Now they get to have a Baba meeting. I mean, they might live in, Missoula, Montana or something like that, and no Baba lovers around. And here they, several times a week, as many times you can get together with people, and it's been wonderful for a great many of the Baba people who are in places where there aren't other Baba lovers. They get to.
I would like to say also, though, that don't take this exactly, my words are not exactly right, but that in a sense we're all a little more disembodied now. What do you agree? I mean, it just seems to me like I can't think of myself as much of a body because I'm not running around in a body as much, because I'm unable. So I don't know, just that sort of Baba's removing us our own identification to the body through this.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, that whole thing is, and in some ways, a lot of us, I'm sure, have experienced that, right? When we were before the pandemic, we were meeting a lot of people physically, but now virtually we are meeting even more people, and so that is kind of part of that whole thing. Yeah.
And it really is heart to heart. I mean, you think I'm looking at the screen, but there's so much feeling here. It's like, it just seems like, or we're meeting at a deeper level, something we could have done all along.
Exactly.
Hey, so we got two more. It's getting kind of late, and but I got two more questions. Rainey.
Hi, Merwan. I thought of a couple of funny things. I live in Berkeley, by the way, now, so I'm much closer than Australia in the olden days.
What do you say? You're where? Berkeley.
I'm in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
31 years, yeah.
Yes.
And Franny, by the way, is 41 next weekend. Just in case you were feeling old, I feel elderly. But we had this thing about a last life issue too. Well, not issue, but anyway, we made it into a joke.
Okay.
Because if somebody would sort of be, there was a man and he was a bit, Marnie was offended by the way he behaved around Franny's disability. And she said, oh, well, you would have had much more respect last life because she was Queen Victoria. This poor chap, he nearly blacked out on the spot. He was Indian and royalty's royalty, right? And here's this little chubby disabled kid, and this was Marnie's response. But this then became a thing because many people heard it. So we've spent a lifetime making it into a delightful joke. And when she's bossy, okay, Vicky, cut it out. And it's a delightful joke. Another time she's got these over flexible limbs, and for a joke, someone mentioned yogis and she put her foot on her head, and so Marnie said, oh, well, she was a yogini in her last life. And so then, of course, she was also a yogini as well as Queen Victoria. So as you're saying, you could be the thief, you could be the yogini, you could be. And so we've spent a long, long time of our life making these past lives into jokes.
That's
now
good.
I want to make a joke, Merwan, and a deal. Please. So if just in the night you think of a recipe and a smell, a fragrance comes into your mind and the chemical composition is really difficult, could you please contact me at Rainy Day Designs, and we will invent a new wind song and we'll become very, very rich and we'll be able to donate to all the Baba.
Sounds very good. Okay, Jay. Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's an easier way around it, huh?
So we'll go with Rosalie, and then Mayor Prasad, if you, oh, what, I don't see him. I guess he slipped off. If anybody has a final Baba quote after Rosalie, and then we'll have a few moments of silence. But boy, this has been great. We you know, you didn't realize there are going to be so many questions coming at you. You know, I didn't think there would be that many, but this
There-
is
there's
how
a-
we find out about, you know, ways of living for Baba. So Rosalie,
There,
yeah.
there's a line in the Gujarati Arti that describes what's going on now. And anyway, the line says, only if you steer our ship while in mid-ocean can we remain afloat.
Yeah.
Because we are sap at sea.
Yeah. The one on the left could probably float.
Jai Baba, Merwan.
Yeah.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
So I think Mayher said she had a quote, a Baba quote.
That was a quote.
Yeah.
from the Gujarati.
Yeah, that was from the Arti, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Mayher, do you have a quote there?
I've got.
Yeah.
Should I say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The infinite God is within me, and I am the part of infinite.
Say that one once again.
The infinite God is within me, and I am the part of the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Jai Baba. Well, really, thank you. And
Last name.
yeah, that was wonderful. And boy, and that whole thing with the work that you're doing is very good to hear. You know, with consensus building and alignment, and yeah, I mean we could probably dwell longer on more some other time on that, but that's really invaluable.
Yeah, thanks, Merwan. It was great.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Merwan. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Sure, I enjoyed it. And Jai Baba, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Merwan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Merwan. Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
get we'll get Nasreen to say Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai. This is
Okay, last call, right?
last call.
Yes. Avatar Meher
Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher Baba
Thank you.
ki jai.
There we go.
Thank you, Merwan. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Merwan.
Take care,
Jai
Merwan.
Baba, Jai Baba.
That was
Thank you,
wonderful.
Merwan.
Jai
Yeah.
Baba.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you,
Yeah.
Jai
Merwan.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Filled our cups, Merwan. Thank you.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
Good. Now you can get a good night's sleep.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
See all of you all in